Hi folks, John Dunn here, RPG freelancer, publisher behind Melior Via. I am up here at Immortals with Mikey.
Hello, John. What a glorious evening we have today. How are you?
I'm doing great. How about you, man?
Same. You know, when it's a glorious evening, it's not that hard to complain.
Well, something like that.
Right? But I've, a sense of what's going on today. It haunts me.
You know what? Tonight is less haunting than we often get into.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought we'd do something kind of silly today.
Oh, wow. So it's silly.
It's silly. Now, in fairness, it's dark silly, but it's silly.
Okay.
You ever heard of paranoia before? And not the psychological condition.
Heard of the condition. The game, also heard of it, not even close to knowing what it was or what it is.
So Paranoia is a game that's been around for a while. Originally came out in 1984. Ooh. It probably wasn't the first humorous role-playing game, but it's probably the longest-lived one.
Ooh.
It's gone through a whole bunch of editions. It was originally published by West End Games. They're the company that originally published Torg that we talked about somewhat recently.
That was a hit.
Yeah. They also had the Ghostbusters RPG, and they had a license for a property we might have mentioned once or twice, Star Wars.
Maybe. That sounds a little familiar.
Yeah, I thought you might have heard of it.
Yeah.
So they had a lot of big games in the 80s and into the 90s, and Paranoia definitely was one of their big ones. It's been around for a while since then, though, and Mongoose Publishing is the company that's currently got the license for it. We're going to talk today about Paranoia Red Clearance Edition. This is a box set. It's got a whole bunch of stuff in it. Was published by James Wallace, Grant Howitt, and Paul Dean. Paranoia, like I said, it's a well-known game. It's been around for a long time. It is in the Hall of Fame for role-playing games from Origins. So, yeah, it's
that's
a
a big
highly
deal.
respected game. It really is, yeah. So West End made the first, second, and fifth edition. What about the third and fourth, you asked? We don't talk about the third.
We don't talk about it?
No. First, second, and fifth.
Is there a summarized reason?
You're not cleared for that.
Okay.
See,
okay.
Being cleared for things
Look it up on your own time.
is very important in Paranoia.
Okay.
Because I mentioned this is red clearance. Well, we'll come to that. Mongoose took over the game line in 2004. They published XP, the 25th anniversary edition, and this version. In 2014, they did a Kickstarter to fund this. It raised a little more than £200,000. Right? Ooh. Mongoose is a British company, so pound was a little stronger then than it is now.
It's a lot of zeros.
Yeah. So, I said it's a humorous game. You ever see the movie Brazil?
Like just Brazil?
Yeah.
No.
All right. It's a great film. Check it out if you get a chance. It's kind of a comedy about what happens when you're in this really regimented society and things go wrong.
Okay.
And Paranoia is set in a really regimented society where things go wrong all the time.
What do you mean by regimented?
I mean that every person that lives in this society has a clearance level. And that clearance level is based on the color spectrum. So way down at the bottom, you've got infrared. And then you've got red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, and ultraviolet.
Wow, mixed martial arts in real life.
There you go. Right? So the typical worker is infrared. Player characters, when they start out, are generally red clearance, and the game master is ultraviolet clearance.
Ooh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
He's like glowing. Like,
exactly.
Don't wear yellow.
Well, and it's a post-apocalyptic setting. So something very bad happened in the world, and people moved into this self-contained center that's called Alpha Complex. Is there a beta or a gamma complex? Maybe. That's up for the game master to decide.
TBD.
Exactly. Alpha Complex is run by our dear friend computer. And our dear friend computer is always right and always cares. And the computer loves you. And if you are under the impression that the computer might have made a mistake or that the computer did not properly love you, then obviously you were in error, and making that sort of error would be treason. And the only appropriate response for treason from the computer is execution.
Sounds like a normal American relationship.
Pretty much, yeah. In the game, your characters die a lot. To help offset that, your characters have lots of clones.
Ooh.
So you start off on your first clone. When that character dies, and it will, your second clone comes in. Typically, you have 6 clones. Sometimes the game master might want to give you more. Sometimes character generation might eat up a clone or 2. In any case, your characters are troubleshooters. That means they are working specifically for the computer to fix things that might have gone wrong in Alpha Complex. Of course, remember, the computer never makes mistakes, so really nothing has ever actually gone wrong in Alpha Complex, right?
Yeah.
So troubleshooters should have a very easy job. Nothing could ever be a challenge, right?
Yeah, it's like you're living the perfect
Right.
life.
There's a whole bunch of books in this box set. Actually, there's 3 books. You've got your player's handbook, your game master's handbook, and your mission pack. I'm just going to talk about the player's handbook today. The GM's book is basically just for the game master's eyes, and the mission book is several adventures. There's also a whole bunch of different cards in here for a variety of different reasons. I'm not going to delve into it. Suffice to say, this particular game iteration uses them. There's also some forms that you can fill out. Part of the fun of Paranoia is having to fill out forms because computer asked you to fill them out, right? You've got to do the proper requisition with the proper form, and sometimes you need to fill out the proper form in order to get the form that you need in order to fill out the form that you need to fill out the form before you can, it's kind of like going to the DMV.
Before you fill out the form.
Exactly.
Okay.
The player's book starts off with a brief example of play, then it gets right into character generation. Characters have several attributes. In Paranoia, they're violence, brains, mechanics, and chutzpah.
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 Like a hood spa?
No, it's a Yiddish word. Kind of means, gumption,
Okay.
determination, your, sheer grit,
Okay.
right?
I respect it.
And then you've got skills that go in with those attributes. The skills can be positive or negative. Character creation is kind of a collaborative way, but there's a screw your neighbor element to it, which is also a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, we love those.
Absolutely. You do start off with 6 clones. You can sacrifice some of those clones during character creation to improve things. Everybody starts off with a jumpsuit and a laser pistol. If you've got red clearance, you've got a red laser pistol. It only affects things that are red clearance and below. So an orange's laser pistol is more effective. They offer various explanations, but the gist of it is it's just more fun that way.
Wow, so as you go up in colors, your beam changes that way in your weapon.
Exactly.
And it also gets more overpowered as you go up.
And it becomes more effective against the people that are lower ranked than you.
Truly
it can't hurt
karate
the ones that are
vibes,
powered.
right?
Yeah, sure. Rule system, you roll dice for a skill plus stat, and you count the 5s and 6s. You can end up with a negative number because your skill values can be negative numbers. There is some dice that are included. One of them has the symbol for the computer on the 6 in the dice. And when friend computer comes up on the die, interesting things happen. You also have luck points. They're called moxie, which again, good, kind of tone setting word there. Combat is card based. That's part of what those cards that I showed the big stack of. And you can do bluffing. So you got some poker-like elements going on there too. There is an XP system for stat and skill improvement. You can get extra clones that way. There is a gear list. A lot of times you're going to end up with gear that doesn't work the way you think it would, or maybe doesn't work the way you expect it to, because, maybe the computer did something wrong. Not that it would ever make a mistake. One of the big mantras in Paranoia is that you're looking for commie mutant traitors, right? They're the real problems. The whole Alpha Complex idea kind of gets back to 1950s bomb scare type things where commies are the bad guys. This edition kind of updates that a little bit and substitutes terrorists sometimes instead of commies, but in either case, terrorist mutant traitors. The beauty of it is that all the characters start off as mutants and traitors and members of a secret society, and they might even be communists or terrorists who are working against the computer.
Nice.
Yeah, so there's a whole element of uncovering your other PCs, the other player characters' secrets, and using that to betray them to the computer and get their clones killed. It's a very silly game. There's a lot of backstabbing.
A lot of sacrifice.
It's half the fun. Oh, totally. Like I mentioned, there is the GM's handbook. It's for UV clearance only. It is treason to read it if you have a clearance level that's not ultraviolet.
Hello.
Yep. And it gives some more detailed info on Alpha Complex, game mechanics, cloning, and stuff like that. The mission book gives you 3 adventures. It does give you some sample characters. And that's pretty much the box set. We've got these on the shelf here at Immortals Inc. We do have a few other supplements, a couple other box sets, and at least 1 or 2 adventures up on the shelf. If this kind of silliness sounds like it might be up your alley, it is zany. It is a good time. Stop in, check it out. This one is $50 for full color, 3 books, 110 cards, and 5 dice.
Don't be paranoid. Come on in. Immortalsinc.com.
Till next time, good gaming, folks.